Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Keith with Dads for Life, and we are here once again on a Monday night, and it is going to be a good evening right now. We're going to talk about Vikings tonight, right? We're going to choose our Viking tonight. Well, I'm not possibly, but anyway, we're going to get to that in just a moment. I am so excited to bring in my co-host from Australia, and it's early down there for her, and I appreciate her. She looks so beautiful this morning. She's up, ready to go and tackle the world with her great awesomeness. So, Miss Ariel Wheeler, what do you do down in Australia to help people, and why are you co-hosting Straight Talk for Parents with me tonight?
Absolutely. Thank you for the welcome. We are from Down Under. It's all about the awesomeness here. Australia is a great place, and we just ooze awesomeness. So thank you so much for that, Keith. Mwah. So I'm Ariel Wheeler. I'm the founder of iHerBrand.com. I'm a visibility creator, writer, and coach. I help heart-centered creative entrepreneurs, most like a lot of people here who are online, like yourself, to help you manifest cash flow on repeat by creating a connected community who repeatedly buys from you. So we all help about visibility, writing, and coaching, and I do all of that as well. However, what really attracted me to be a part of the Straight Talk with Parents is me being a parent as well. I'm a new parent. I'm in my third year, so I should be in grade 3 of my parenting. So what really attracted me was not only just, like I said, being a parent, but it was the heart of the message of what Dads for Life is. And Keith and I met, I have to say, getting close to 2 years now in a mastermind group. And heart to heart, I just truly believed in his message, and I wanted to be not only be part of the family of that message, but to share with parents that, it's not all about the doom and gloom of parenting, but it's also about the miracles, the things that we do miss as a parent, and knowing that there is actual help out there for parents, and it's just not every strategy or there's just buy a book. When I fell pregnant, there was no book. You just went with the flow, and that's what it really is we're here to help parents and guide parents and just help them find that confidence within to be not only be a better parent, better person, and help up bring up the next generation. So that's why I'm here. This is why I'm a part of the family.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Ariel. You are just awesome, and we look forward to some big announcements we got coming up real soon. So,
Absolutely.
But tonight we want to welcome, and by the way, I want to welcome all my Periscope viewers, and I wanted to just tell you that we appreciate you coming in and watching us on Periscope through another admin office, and Debbie, the woman behind the smile, is on us there on our Periscope right now. What a wonderful person she is. I appreciate her and everyone that's joining us on the live web and also through Periscope. So here we go. We're going to get right to it. Is everybody ready? We're ready. All right. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have a friend of mine. Glenda and I met Melissa and her lovely husband, David, a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago now. Time gets away. I mean, Ariel just mentioned 2 years, that we've known each other, but we feel like we've known each other forever. So Melissa Ruth has been described as a distracted procrastinator, an entrepreneur, a natural-born leader, Ariel, and a tenacious warrior. Her book, first of all, she's a wife and a software consultant, and a makeup-loving mother of 3 with an MBA in technical management and a big heart. Now, she does have a big heart. I will tell you that personally. I know that this young lady has a big heart. Her book tonight we're going to talk about is Choose Your Viking, the first of a series titled My Viking is Not Your Prince Charming. Ooh, well, I don't need to know about that, but we have a lot of parents that do want to know things like this. So as a strong believer in Jesus, she has found that she had to embrace her life where she was at and trust God to help her navigate through a myriad of life experiences and variety of roles. Believing those experiences were given to her to help others find their purpose in life, and that's what we're all about, Ariel. So Melissa finally put her pen to paper, or rather her fingers to her phone, to share her stories and viewpoints with us. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome, and Ariel, we are welcoming Miss Melissa Ruth of melissaruth.net. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you very much. I'm going to apologize right now. The lawn guy decided just now to blow all the leaves away from my window. Isn't that great?
Hey, this is live. We are live, and we have seen some great things while live. So, well, Melissa, we welcome you to Straight Talk for Parents. And, you know, we'll review your website down in Australia in a few minutes, and we'll show the world. But I wanted to start out by talking about the book title, Choose Your Viking. First, how did you come up with that title? And really, yeah, there you go. And really, what is a Viking? I mean, I'm a minority here tonight with our group here, you know, but I try to be, but what is really a Viking in Melissa Ruth's opinion?
Oh, you know, everyone I talk to always says, well, when you talk about Viking, you hear about death and destruction and mayhem and going to battle. But really, truly, when you start to research what is a Viking, you have to get down to the fact that they're a family man, and their goal, their primary objective is to expand their territory, right? So if they're going to go to battle, they're going to go to battle for a few reasons. They're going to go to battle because they're protecting what they currently own, their family, their territory, or they're trying to expand that territory, or well, those are the two primaries, right? So expand it and protect it, and they're doing that because their family has needs and they have a desire to care for that. So the concept came to me. Really, I was thinking about the Prince Charming concept. When we talk about Prince Charming, we talk about whisking us away out of our problems and our situations. And as the three of us know, life is not that easy. It doesn't happen that way generally. And so you have to be ready. Instead of being ready to live a fairy tale, we have to be ready to live out the battle. And so that's where the concept of the Viking came, was being able to go out together in battle because you're going to experience battles.
Well, I believe that you can resonate with some of our listeners tonight, because we have some parents well, we have parents at home, their mom and a dad, but then we have a lot of single parents too, single moms, single dads. But here's where I come into play, all right? I was a dad of a daughter, right, who's now an adult and has me two wonderful grandchildren. But I remember those early years, and we talked about boyfriends, all right? That word that dads don't want to hear. And I see on Periscope, even though I'm having some issues here on my end of it, but I can see there's a single dad on here right now, and he has a daughter, and he's going to want to know, all right, talk about this. How do we get going with that and teaching and engaging in conversations with our daughters, or even our young men, actually, to talk about being that Viking or being that person, you know, of strength for someone? How do we engage in those kind of conversations with our children?
I was thinking about that. I think a lot of times it's very similar to how we talk to them about movies and how we talk to them about video games. And we'll tell them all the time that this isn't real, this is just make-believe. But we don't tell them the rest of the story. We try to protect them from that. And in some cases, we should protect them. But in other cases, we need to not paint the picture as if it's all rainbows and unicorns, right? There's not all these princesses out there. Yes, you can be whatever you want, but let's be real for a minute. Let's talk about how real life happens, right? Let's talk about how you're going to have health issues. You're going to have, you know, doesn't matter who you marry, your spouse is going to have health issues. You're going to have job issues. You're going to have those things. So you need to talk about it so they're prepared. It's funny because I have a 19-year-old who's in college now, and we have this talk more often than not because he's just now realized he has to adult some. There's an adulthood there. I have to be an adult. Well, a large part of that comes from not having those conversations ahead of time.
I see. Well, you know, when talking about that, I mean, I was a school resource officer for 18 years of a 30-year career, Melissa, in the police work. And I can tell you, I had more kids than one, male and female, come to my office about their life is ruined. And why do you think it was ruined? Because they just broke up with Mr. Wonderful or Mrs. Wonderful, right? But in your second chapter,
all their dreams are shattered.
I know. I had one girl who just wanted to just end everything. I'm going like, whoa, get in my office and shut the door. We're going to have a conversation, right? So, but in the second chapter called Broken Hearts, well, that kind of caught my attention because it got me thinking about all these girls who just came to my office and was telling me about their boyfriend and how sorry he was. I said, well, just last week he was Mr. Wonderful, you know. But her heart was broken, right? So I tried to be the dad, the fill-in dad thing, right? And when I completed online search today of Broken Hearts, I had 13,600,000 hits. 13,600,000 hits on the two words, broken hearts. How do you summarize that many links about broken hearts in your chapter?
There are so many ways that girls experience broken hearts. And actually in this chapter, it's not really a true love broken heart kind of thing. It's a good friendship kind of broken heart. And we have to help our children understand how to deal with this broken heart syndrome. So there's two pieces of that. There's understanding who we are without being attached to somebody. And there's understanding how to deal with it when the breakup happens or death in the family or the sickness or whatever the case may be. And we have to start that young. It's so interesting. I had a talk with someone recently who said their kid's hamster died. And so instead of dealing with the hamster dying, they went and bought a similar hamster, right? Because they didn't want their children to deal with the pain. Oh, they're too young. But the reality is in our life, throughout all of our life, we're going to experience pain. And if we don't experience it within the safety of our home and learn how to deal with it at that point, we're never going to be able to deal with it when the boyfriend breaks up with us down at we're 16 years old and we think he's everything that we ever were is in him, right?
Right. Wow. Well, I know that you have done some book signings with your books, and you have these radio shows popping up here and there. I mean, your word's getting out. In fact, you have a radio show tonight right after our class. We may get a plug in at the end for that. But what kind of conversations do you talk with parents about at these book signings? What are they saying to you when they ask you to sign your book for them?
I recently had a gal come to me and tell me that her daughter at 16 had fallen in love with a guy online and ran away to go be with him. So she was now dealing with, she was blessed because her daughter came back. But now she's having to deal with, how do I help my daughter heal? How do I help my daughter have a proper self-identity? And how do I talk to her without just being inappropriate? How do I deal with this, right? And so the book Choose Your Viking, it addresses a lot of different things, one of which being self-identity, and the other being how do I make peace with myself after I've done something I didn't want to do, or didn't realize I was going to be in a situation. And so a lot of times that's what parents come to me about. How do I help my child heal after they've done something that they just don't know? They just don't know how to come back from.
Well, I tell you, and I had a lot of conversations with students about that, and some of the parents didn't even know the relationships they were having in the first place. It was which is a whole different subject, right? We could talk about. Well, I'm going to go down to Australia to my dear friend and co-host, Miss Ariel Wheeler. This whole show was a kind of a brainstorm of ours about 6 or 7 months ago, and it just continues to grow. I couldn't do it without her. She is awesome. I appreciate everything she's done to help us get this far. But I know that she's wanting to show your book, your website, and ask you a few questions, I'm sure, because she has a daughter. So, Ariel, take it away.
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you, Keith. I'm honored. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's snap on over to this book, and I'll just do a screen share and let me know when you can see my page.
You know, I know that it's early there, but it looks like the sun is out and it's a beautiful sunny day.
It's actually the opposite. It is very great outside at the moment. It is like doom and gloom at my house. I'm sure it's going to be pouring all day. But hey, that's blessings for you, right? We can't always have sunshine. Sometimes we just have grey, rainy days.
Exactly.
So it's always a blessing. Okay, so can we all see the screen share?
Yes.
Absolutely. So your book is called Choose Your Viking. My Viking is Not Your Prince Charming, book 1. So tell us a little bit about choosing your Viking, because I'm really interested about the choice and also the Viking part. Like that's a killer title. So tell us all about that.
Well, it came back to the concept of Prince Charming, and I was meeting a lot of women, a lot of younger girls who were saying, I think I might have found my Prince Charming. And then they would go on to say, but he doesn't have a job, or he doesn't have a career, or he really doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. I don't really know if he is my Prince Charming. So that just kind of led into the conversation of you're really not looking for a Prince Charming. You're really looking for someone to join you and to be ready to to fight the battles that life will attack you with.
Absolutely. And we usually call that teenage love, right? Because we can all remember our first love or our many first loves, because some of us here on the line may have only had our first love. I'm my husband's first love, whereas he's my second. So it's amazing how we all find love. So tell us a little bit about this Maiden's Voyage. Is this something related to you, or is this a story that came to you?
It really is a large part of my story, or little snippets of my story, and how I met my husband. So the next book will be more about the battles that life, some of the battles that life presents you with. But some of them you have control over, and some of them you don't. But yeah.
Absolutely. So it's available here on Kindle and paperback. I'm sure everyone has a Kindle or some form of e-format. So is there going to be a second book, and what's the title of that? Just for a little sneak peek for our viewers.
There will be a second book. I've been playing with the title a little bit, but I think it's going to be something about the Shield Maiden, the battle cry of the Shield Maiden. So the Shield Maiden is the woman who chooses to go into battle with the Vikings, and so she's she's right there in the thick of it, and pushing along through with everybody else. And so I think it'll be called the battle cry of the Shield Maiden.
That is amazing. So we've gone from choosing your Viking to the upgraded version from PG to the adult edition of getting your shield and going out there and finding that right person. That is absolutely amazing. It's beautiful how both titles transition into each other. But really, let's bring it back to choosing your Viking. So it's all about Prince Charming and how we grow up and learning about first love. So what are some tips that you could share with a teenage girl who may be on the line, or there might be a mummy and a daddy out there who may be experiencing their teenager with their first love breakup?
So one of the things that I like to talk about with teenagers is the concept that there are many types of love. We often think that love is just that passionate, sexy kind of attraction, right? And we lose the fact that there's so much more in a long-term relationship than just that initial passion. So encouraging them to understand that there's something beyond what they're currently feeling, and that it's okay to be feeling heartbroken. We just have to figure out a way to turn it into a step forward rather than staying in the mire of the depression, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I can imagine there's some of us out there who may have experienced their first love later in life, but for me, I experienced my love when I was in year 11 and 12. That's almost at the end of our schooling here in Australia. And I can remember when he actually cheated on me with another girlfriend, and I can remember how heartbroken I was. And that was my second bout of depression. I went into self-depression after that. I was a very closed-in girl. I was just not very engaged. And the only thing I had left was my martial arts and a few girlfriends out of that whole thing. So I can just imagine that there are some of us here on the line who may have daughters or sons, or even them themselves experiencing it, or an effective experience at seeing their loved ones go through it, and know that there is always hope, there is always a way that you can get help. And you can contact Keith or Melissa or myself about that if you are experiencing depression, because depression is a real thing and it's a very dangerous place to be in if you don't have that support.
Yes, you know, you brought up a really
So I
good
just wanted
subject.
to put that out there because sometimes, because sometimes, go for it, Lisa. Sorry, Melissa.
It's okay. So one of the things I talk about just very briefly, but I am very passionate about is one of my significant relationships, maybe first, maybe second love, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, at the end of the day, he was put me in a situation where all of a sudden, once we broke up, I didn't have any friends. I didn't have anyone at my side. And so even though my parents were there and encouraging me or doing their best to encourage me, I had already really been separated from them for a while because we had a fairly long relationship. And so keeping that in mind, when we're young and we get into these relationships and we're not really taught who we are, we haven't really figured out who we are before we've connected with that first love or a second love. Sometimes it means that we define ourselves because of who we're attached to and what they tell us we are. So as a parent, understanding that and understanding that that's a hard discussion to have and it doesn't happen, you can't heal that overnight, right? So for me, it became a requirement to have a lot of prayer and a lot of discussion and to not be afraid to have that conversation, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. We need to be open with our children about having that conversation. And the other thing it made me think about when you were speaking about that is the long-term effects that it has when you're growing up, like you said, that we as parents or as a child experiencing that ourselves and learning about who we are in the world. We also attach our self-worth to that type of relationship, especially when you're a teenager, you have that where it's learning about who you are, where you fit in, if you don't fit in, because many of us entrepreneurs actually don't fit in. And I, as an introvert myself, I understand that. So what can we do to help children who are at that point in their life where they are attaching their self-worth to a relationship, and how can perhaps they move forward and a parent help them move forward as well?
So I have a quote in another book that I'm getting ready to release, and it talks about how we speak into existence what we want it to be. So for example, when we're dealing with our spouses, if we're always telling them how bad they are and how horrible they are and everything they're doing wrong, then they're never going to become the person that we wish they were, right? And that is true of our children as well. So if we're always telling them about how they're never home and they're never involved and never do housework and the room is a mess, and we're just always in that negative, they will never feel like they can come to us when they're in that situation where they realize this situation is bad for me and I'm really not doing well here. So that doesn't mean we shouldn't discipline our children, but it means that we have to be cognizant of what we say and how we say it and try to keep in mind more positive rather than a more negative in our message, right? I heard a saying once, for every one negative you say, you should say at least 7 positive. That's a short, small example, but it fits.
I'll hold you to that 7 positivity. So if there's any teenager out there, or if there's any dad or a mommy out there who's looking for a bit of extra help, I definitely would recommend this book, Choose Your Viking by Melissa Ruth. So hop onto that. It is available on Amazon. You're most welcome, Melissa. And also we're going to showcase your website. Just let me know when this flicks over. The fingers crossed it does it properly. Can we see that now?
Yep.
So, yeah, absolutely. So tell us about what or who Melissa Ruth is and what your website is about, please.
So my website is really about all things that I have written or any thoughts that have come to my mind that are too small to put in a book form.
Mhm.
So right now it's focused on Choose Your Viking, but my purpose in life is to encourage others in any way that I possibly can. So Choose Your Viking is the first book. I have a little journal coming out. It's focused on helping women who are struggling with their marriage. So what happens a lot of times when I talk to women about Choose Your Viking is they go, oh, I wish I had married my Viking. And it always leads itself to, I wish I could have this conversation with you about how your Viking is your husband. And it's up to you to renew that relationship. And so the new journal that's coming out in the next week is called Renewing Your Viking. And it's very short, but that's its purpose, is to encourage married women that they're not alone in their battle and that they can renew their husbands. So I talk about that. Every one of us goes out of the house and we're entering a battlefield. And when we come home at the end of the day, we've come home with scars and maybe battle wounds, right? Maybe we got gashed a lot while we went to school, we went to work. And we come home, and if we're coming into another battlefield, we're not healing. And so I talk about that in this next little book. And that will be part of the Shield Maiden, the battle cry of the Shield Maiden as well. So who am I? I've
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I've moved 20 plus times in the 21 years we've been married. We've lived all over the United States. So I like to talk about things I've seen, things I've experienced that can encourage others to realize they're not alone in their battles.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because sometimes when we do close that door at the end of the day, we still have to put our game face on for our children. That, you know, sometimes there's a lot of us parents out there, and I'm sure that we've all done it before, where we fake it, where everything is A-okay. And sometimes when we do that, we project a different type of energy onto our children. So I like to showcase, because I see a YouTube video here, and I love to sort of showcase that. How amazing would that be? Let's do a full screen.
Let's see. All right.
So fingers crossed this works. Okay. Do.
Do you ever find yourself wondering where your Prince Charming is? Do you wonder if anyone will ever love you because of what you've done in your past? Perhaps you're just looking for a good book with a positive message to encourage you in your battle of life. Whatever your reason, we invite you to check out the first book of the My Viking is Not Your Prince Charming series, titled Choose Your Viking. Choose Your Viking is a coming-of-age redemption story of a modern maiden who learned that she needed a Viking to join her in the battles of life instead of a prince on a white horse. Get your copy today at www.melissaruth.net.
That's absolutely beautiful.
Yes, it was a lot of fun to make that. So,
I can imagine it would be. You're welcome. That pretty much just embodies everything of who you are, what your message is, and pretty much what your website really is. So I'm just going to stop this screen share now and bring you back. There we are.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I don't actually have any questions because I know that Keith in the US is busting with some questions, so I'm sure he has some to share. I'll send it back to Keith, and before we close up for the evening, I'm sure that I'll come up with a few questions or two.
Well, thank you, Ariel, and thank you, Melissa. That was awesome. I just want to tell you that I do appreciate the work you're doing, because I saw it firsthand. I saw girls wanting to destroy their life permanently over a situation like that, and it's just amazing how, you know, we as parents, we have to be involved. I always say, you know, the home is the safest place for your child to remain safe, but also to have safe conversations, and, you know, that they're not going to be, you know, recorded or spread around school as rumors and things like that. But they need to ask these hard questions, but sometimes they don't want to. But that goes back to actually developing that relationship, that daily connections. You know, the book I wrote, talking about how you can connect with your children on a daily basis. You know, in high school,
Exactly.
hey, I was a Viking, but you know, hey, you know, the girls, they One girl started dating me, and I got the flu the same day she started, and she threw me to the side. I'm going like, really? I guess I wasn't her Viking, Melissa. But the thing is that I said, okay, well, I'm just going to go on and play football and do my own thing anyway. You know, the thing is that you never know what little thing is going to take a young person's mind into a whole different direction. But we as parents have to connect with our children on a daily basis and love them regardless, right? So, Melissa, I know we're running low on time.
Yeah, and do that before they hit the teenage years.
Right. I know we're running low on time as you're getting ready for another interview here shortly, but I want to tell you this. I think about, you know, the scripture, Ephesians 6:18 talks about putting on the whole armor of God. Well, all we're doing as parents, we're trying to help them, you know, put on an armor that's going to sustain them for life, you know, because we're always going to have issues, right? So what in the final few moments that you could say to a parent, or even that they may share this with their child is, or their young person, is that what if situations like that pop up? I mean, what advice could you give them to just hang in there and just, you know, put it behind you as quick as possible? I mean, what words of wisdom would you give them?
You know, I actually have a saying that I use all the time, even with myself, when I get frustrated and I can't see where I'm going. And I shared this actually with a kid in South Africa recently, and he loved it. It was so funny. He was just thrilled. And it's the concept of putting one tiny step forward. So when we don't know what to do, and we don't know how we're going to get through the situation, and we don't know how to deal, the only thing we can do is first pray, and second, to put one tiny step forward. So making sure that we're always moving forward and not staying stagnant, not staying in the situation we're in, but saying, okay, what is the one itsy bitsy teeny tiny step that I can take to the next step, right? Oftentimes we can't see what that is. When I was single and pregnant and sick and I couldn't work and I couldn't stand and I just couldn't function, all I could do was pray and say, okay, what is today? What is the one thing that I can do that will put me one step forward in life? Mm-hmm. So that sometimes that meant go to the doctor. Sometimes it meant have that tough conversation. Sometimes it meant I just have to leave the house and get out of the house. You know, it's taking that one single step. You don't have to see it all. You just have to see the little step ahead.
Mm. Well, that's good advice. I think that because, you know, we're going to have issues in life, we're going to have failures, and some things you can't control. You just simply can't control it, you know. But when you do that, when you try to control something you can't control, you're just driving yourself crazy anyway. So, you know, if your boyfriend or your girlfriend breaks up with you, then, you know, you can't really control that. And besides that, there's going to be a better situation down the road for you somewhere. So, all right, Ariel, anything else came to your mind as we go to wrap this up? We got just a few moments here. She's got another interview. She's so popular tonight.
Absolutely. So if we are a teenage girl, or if we're around, say, 20, what are some of the things that we could be looking for in our Viking that will help us grow as women?
I think the biggest thing you should look at is how does he respond in situations that are not always easy. So one of the things I talk a lot about today, because a lot of girls meet their guys online and, oh, he's so wonderful. We do FaceTime and Snapchat and Facebook Live all the time, every day. I know exactly who he is. But at the end of the day, you don't know how he's responding to negative situations. So we have to expect those negative situations are going to come. Is he going to be somebody that's going to, you know, pull himself up by the bootstraps, or is he going to be someone who hides in the corner? Either one potentially might be okay, but you have to know those things before you step in, because you're going to experience those battles.
Absolutely. And it's also about writing out who we want in our life as well, and figuring out along the way who that Viking is and who we want to be as a shield maiden as well. And that's a great point to sort of nearly end up on, is about choosing who we want to be, who we want to be with, and what the difference is that we want to make in the world.
And not waiting around, right?
Exactly.
Don't wait for him to come up and then your life can start. Your life is now. It's up to you to do it now.
life is in the moment for sure. I totally agree with that. There's no point waiting because Prince Charming, I can tell you, he's not going to come from the clouds. He ain't going to come here riding on that white horse. He's going to be probably someone at the gym or at the restaurant or someone you even walk by for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
He could be anywhere. And it's our job as women to find that man, and it's a job for men to be that knight and to be that rock and that foundation for our women, but not to attach our self-worth to that relationship.
Right. Yep.
Because we are all worthy.
Exactly.
That's right. We are.
Absolutely.
We are. I tell you, when my dad died when I was 11, my mom picked up her bootstraps and she made things happen. She never saw anything else in another man. She just kept on going until I was old enough. And I never, ever, ever let her forget that. Well, Ariel and Melissa, we are wrapping this up. We are down to our last couple of seconds here. I just want to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight on Straight Talk for Parents. Go to our Facebook page. We're going to have to start putting that behind me in a banner or something. Go to our Facebook page and check out Straight Talk for Parents. You can engage questions there for Melissa, even after the fact. And we appreciate all our Periscope viewers, our live viewers, our Facebook viewers. We got viewers everywhere. We're growing and growing, and we appreciate each and every one of you. So, Melissa, thank you. You have a radio interview at 108praise.com in just a few moments, and I'll be tuning in to listen to you there. We appreciate you so much, man, for joining us here on Straight Talk for Parents.
Thanks, Keith, and thank you for everybody who called in.
All right, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank
you so much.
Yes, you do not want to miss next week either. Well, I tell you, we're lining them up. We're already booked several weeks out. We're excited about what's happening at Straight Talk for Parents. Until next week, this is Dr. Keith and
All right.
Ariel Wheeler from Australia,
Ariel
and our guest, Melissa Ruth.
Woo!
So long until next time. And remember, enhance, encourage, and enrich someone's life, but start with your children. They need it the most. God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Oh, yes.